All right, let me just quickly here talk about a case here. Give you time to change your role. So, back on September 23rd, last fall, there was a incident on Tonawanda Street in the city of Buffalo. A home on Tonawanda Street. There was a gentleman in the home by the name of John Battison, and there were two females that were also in the home with him at the time. One of the females made a 911 call saying that there was a suicide attempt going on at the home. The Buffalo police soon thereafter arrived at the home. One car initially arrived with two police officers. Those police officers were met at the door of the home on Tonawanda Street by the two women who were there in the home. One of the women said that there's an individual in the house who was getting a gun, who was trying to kill himself. They told him that he was upstairs in the attic. The police officers went in the home. There were a number of dogs in the home that the women had to secure initially. And after the dogs were secured, the two officers now went up the stairs into the attic, and they encountered Mr. Battison in the attic with what appeared to be a rifle that was pointed upward at his head. Mr. Battison was not fully clothed. I'll leave it at that. He was not fully clothed, and he was talking erratically. The two officers drew their weapons. The officers, on numerous occasions, well over 10 times, told him to drop the gun. Mr. Battison said, "No, I'm not dropping the gun." He made comments as the officers were getting closer to him. He made comments that if you get any closer, I'm going to end this. Obviously, the officers didn't know what end this means. He could have easily taken that gun and in a microsecond gone like that and shot. The officers did not wait for that to happen, and after ordering him numerous times to put the gun down, one of the officers shot him in the chest. And he immediately obviously dropped the gun. Mr. Battison survived the shooting, and afterward was taken to ECMC for care and treatment, and he's recovered from his one gunshot wound. An investigation obviously was initiated by this office, and after the investigation, it has been concluded that the officers acted properly as far as from a criminal standpoint. I'm not going to get into whether or not the Buffalo police should have called the social workers or the team of people they have that come from mental illness. That's a decision and a question for the Buffalo Police Commissioner, not me. I am looking at it from a criminal standpoint, is that did the police officers commit any crime in shooting this individual? And I have come to the conclusion that they did not, that they acted in self-defense, that they had reason to believe that their safety was potentially going to be in danger. There is no case law in the state of New York that says that an officer has to wait until a gun is pointed at them excuse me, before they shoot. And that would obviously, quite frankly, be outrageous in my opinion, because officers need the ability to protect themselves, especially in these situations like this. And so I've closed this matter down. I informed the Commissioner of Police this morning that I was not going to pursue any charges, and I was going to close this investigation. Questions? Bruce?
Yes, Mr. Battison is in an attic. There was one point of ingress handling this, for example, just leaving him up there, seeing that he was there alone, and perhaps de-escalating the situation?
Well, again, like I said before, that's more of a question for the Buffalo Police Commissioner, in the sense that, you know, they have created over the course of the past couple years various units in their department to deal with mental health situations, and they presumably have protocols for that, and they have a game plan. They have a playbook for that. I have never read that playbook. I have never been privy to that, to meetings on those game plans at all. Just like I'm not privy to the game plans of the Buffalo Bills last Sunday, which I have a lot of opinions on, but I'm not privy to the game plans. Okay, so I've never read that playbook at all, Bruce. I don't know what their protocols are, quite frankly. So it would be you know, a little bit improper of me and a little bit presumptuous of me to comment on that without knowing their game plans. Now, you know, I'm not trying to duck the question. I mean, in general, I mean, do we want to de-escalate situations and not have someone get shot? Absolutely. I mean, in a perfect world, there'd be no shootings ever. That's in a perfect world. We don't live in a perfect world, obviously. And so, you know, while I don't want to see someone get shot, while I don't want to have officers going to situations and having them de-escalate, having them escalate into a shooting, no one wants that to happen, okay? But in real life, in real time, these things happen, and you are dealing, you know, again, it's easy to come up with a playbook. It's easy to write things out and put them on PowerPoint, okay? What's not easy is being in an attic, in a closed-in situation with an individual who's got a gun. Now they didn't know it was a pellet gun. It looked like a rifle. It was a black rifle, okay? Turned out to be a pellet gun. I'm not denying that. Turned out to be a pellet gun, all right? But they didn't know that. It appeared to be a black rifle. And when you are in a battlefield, all right? Let's go back to the Navy here. When you're in the battlefield here, and you're in a closed environment attic, and you got an individual with a rifle who's pointing it at his head, and who could easily drop it and point at you in a second. You see how fast, boom, like that. That's how fast it is. You're not dealing with a playbook here, okay? You're not dealing with a PowerPoint presentation that you got back at the station, you know, in some training class. Those are great. Training classes are important and PowerPoints are important, all right? But when you're in the thick of battle here and you're in a real life situation, stuff happens. And you try and you use your training to the best of your ability. You use the resources that you've been taught to the best of your ability. But at the end of the day, these two officers need to go home to their families.
You did give an opinion on the wisdom of the action of police in the Kente Bell situation.
I said that some of their actions were not smart. No, I'm not going to go that far here. The Kente Bell situation was a high-speed chase, you know, going throughout the city, officers shooting guns out windows like a James Bond movie. Okay, this was not a James Bond movie. All right, this was a small attic with two police officers faced with a dangerous situation as far away as me and you are right now, Bruce, okay? With you, not you, but the person holding a gun up. That is not a high-speed chase through the city. That's apples and oranges.
What did you see in the video that convinced you that no charges would be filed?
The potential quickness of that individual being able to point that gun at those officers, and how that gun could have easily been used against the officers, and along with the number of times that the officers gave him the ability to drop the gun. You know, drop the gun, please drop the gun, please drop the gun. Numerous times, over 10 times, Claudine, just over and over again, please drop the gun. We don't want anyone to get hurt here, okay? And he didn't listen. And when you have a person who's not listening, that tells the officers that he's not listening, he may shoot me. And you don't have to wait for him to point that gun at you.
John, if I remember correctly, Mr. Battison had been charged
Yeah.
at the time of this incident. Is that still the case?
Yeah, but I'm gonna dismiss those. So he had, after it was over, there were other weapons that were found in the home. It appears that those are his father's, and they were registered to his father. So the charges against him are going to be dismissed.
To be clear then, that because they weren't his weapons, that's the reason for the dismissal of the charges, is that accurate?
Correct. It appears, I mean, I haven't done it yet, but I'm 99% there certain that they were the father's, and the father had a proper license for all of them. But I'm just going to make sure that's true before I actually dismiss him. But I'm 99% sure I'm going to dismiss him.
If there wasn't body cam footage, do you think your decision would have been different?
No, because then I would have just had the officer's word versus potentially his word, and I would have had the two witnesses, you know, who were able to describe the setup. So, I mean, what's important here too is that you got to remember, when the officers first got there, they were told that this individual has a gun. And so when you're on the ground floor now, before you even get to the attic, okay, you're like in a situation where, oh my gosh, someone has a gun. We need to be, you know, careful here for ourselves. And so that mindset in the officer's mind, you know, from the get-go, is an important part of the facts here, an important part of the story as to what ultimately happened. So, yeah, no, it probably wouldn't have made a difference at all.
Any other questions?
All good?